Welcome to Shift Happens, a podcast where you can expect to have a helping hand on navigating your way through this journey called life. I'm no self-help expert, but I'm someone that's actively healing and working on themselves. And I just want this to be a space for conversations with friends. I want us all to be our most authentic and unapologetic selves. And I hope that this podcast will help you get there. Welcome back to Shift Happens. I wanted to say that I am super grateful for everybody that listened to the first episode, for all the nice comments. Thank you so much, whether you listened on the podcast platforms or you watch me on YouTube. I am so grateful for you listening, and I am even more grateful that you have decided to join me for what is going to be the first proper episode. Obviously, last week's intro was a bit nerve-wracking for me. Today is definitely a little bit more planned and structured. I even have my notebook. I don't think I would be able to start a podcast without acknowledging, the biggest catalyst for my personal growth and change, which has been me embarking on this whole running journey. Now, I wanted to give you a bit of a backstory as to why I started this journey, and hopefully it will make sense to you. I went in to the hospital last year for a routine MRI. I say routine, it's not really a routine. I don't think anybody should have to undergo an MRI if they don't need to. It's really traumatic if you've never been in one before. Don't recommend it, it's not fun. However, I needed to go and check out my lower back. I'd been getting a lot of pain. There was a lot going on with the lower back. The pain had started to travel up my spine. So I told the surgeon that the pain was going up my spine. So they wanted to do an MRI of my whole back. In June, when I got the results back from the doctor over the phone, and he said to me, "Hi, yeah, I got your results back from your MRI. I just wanted to let you know that your brain has slipped." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, the lower part of your brain has slipped." I remember thinking, what does that even mean? Like, how can your brain slip? Essentially, the lower part of my brain has slipped and is compressing on my spine, causing a buildup of fluids. Yeah. When I found out it was very heavy stuff, I didn't really feel like I was able to process what I'd just been told. I had to wait to see a consultant, and as it stands now in 2024, I'm undergoing more tests, but I started to do my research. And obviously the worst thing you can do is do your research, because Google will tell you many things, and most of them are that you are going to die. With this diagnosis, what Google was telling me was more along the lines of you could potentially be paralyzed. I didn't talk to anyone about how I was really feeling. Second half of last year was really difficult. I was just so confused and so unaware of what my body was doing. It was too much for me to comprehend. I said this in the first episode. I basically self-sabotaged. I was like completely the opposite of taking care of my body. I was neglecting myself. I was just being really toxic to my body. I think it was because I was scared and I didn't want to admit that to anybody. I just kept thinking at the back of my mind that I would end up paralyzed and I wouldn't be able to walk. I'd had a few visits to A&E like last year. The pains were really bad. They suggest that you go straight to A&E because there is a chance that you could be experiencing something that causes the nerves to go in your spine. I don't understand many of these medical terms. The most I understand is from what I know after watching like 400 episodes of Grey's Anatomy. But yeah, there was a lot going on with my body. I was like going through this state of shock, and I wasn't really thinking about how I was responding to the news. So that was the second half of last year. In 2024 begun, I was so overwhelmed with anxiety, and I was just feeling like this massive weight on me. It was impacting everything: my sleep, my day-to-day, my interactions with people. I just was not feeling good at all. Physically, like the anxiety itself was paralyzing me. I knew I had to do something. As humans, we have to accept that change happens, of course, but also the issue is that most of us just want change to immediately happen. We want it to be a case of, right, I don't know, for example, I want to lose a stone, and you want it to happen like now. So we try all these quick fixes, and realistically, quick fixes never get you to where you want to be and make it sustainable to last. And everything that I was doing wasn't working. Therapy was working to a certain degree, but not fully. My antidepressants were working, but not fully. I decided to download the Couch to 5K app. Now, I remember speaking to my friend Alex. This was like back in October, and he was telling me that running really helped him with the grief when his mum passed away. and he would run to clear his mind. And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, like, it's okay for you. You're a runner. You go to running club. You play football. You can do that. I can't do that. I can't do it because I'm in pain. At this point, I was in pain every day. There were days where it was less, and there are days where obviously the pain was just too much. I remember thinking that it was ridiculous, me running. I had never loved running. Even when I was a regular at the gym, I would never go on the treadmill. I would walk up incline, but I would never run. Ew, no. Oh, my boobs will get in the way, or my knees are not good enough, and obviously the back pain. I would find any excuse not to run. I got a playlist going, and literally I went out for the first run. When I say I went out for the first run, don't think I was looking cool. I remember putting on my back belt because the back pain was so bad at this time. I put on my back belt. I was like, right, I've got my support on my back. I can do this. So I started running. First week was something like 1 minute running and then 90 seconds walking. I struggled with that first minute. I was so unfit. I remember thinking to myself, there's no way that I can commit to this. There's no way that I'll be able to do this. Like, it's just not possible. I really begun to gaslight myself thinking it wasn't possible. However, after the first run, you get like a little badge saying, oh, congratulations, you did it, the first run. Okay, cool. I'm gonna just try and stick with it at least this week. I'm gonna go out again. And I carried on doing it. I think that the main thing in life is that if you can be committed and consistent, you really can achieve so much more than you ever anticipated. I never thought I'd be able to run. I remember saying even to my dad, I was like, Dad, like next week it's increasing to like 5 minutes. How am I going to run 5 minutes continuously? And he was like, you'll just do it, Zara, you'll just do it. And I did. And it's one of those things that I kept doing. And the more I did it, the more I begun to see like the benefits. And I'm not talking physical benefits, even though there's an array of those. I am talking the mental liberation. In the time that I dedicated to running in the mornings or the afternoons, whenever I decided to do it, my mind was so peaceful. For someone like me, who is a chronic overthinker, definitely undiagnosed with ADHD, anxious, depressed, it was like for the first time in my adult life, I was able to just be so present in the moment and really feel like, this is what it's like to be all right. And I felt fucking great. That feeling is what had me hooked in. With the Couch to 5K program, you're meant to run 3 times a week. I was running 4 or 5 times a week. I couldn't get enough. By week 3, I was fully addicted. And I really never thought I would be able to run 5 kilometers. I would never make it to the end of the program, which was 30 minutes of running continuously. Stopped thinking about what my body was doing, and I just let my mind be. And like I said to you, at the beginning, I was running with a back belt. I even at one point had to put knee support on because my knees were dodgy. Physical side of my body at the beginning wasn't great. It was uncomfortable. I had discomfort, but I just rode through it. I stopped listening to the limiting beliefs that I had. And I was like, you know what? All you have to focus on doing is putting one foot in front of the other. The reason I really wanted to talk about running is because it's an example as to how you can just implement change in life and really achieve things that you didn't know were possible. It's been 3 months since I started running. I have run a 5K race. Like, I ran in front of people. What the actual fuck? That is so far out of my comfort zone. But the feeling was just insane. And I kept thinking to myself, it's an absolute privilege that I get to move my body. It's an absolute privilege that I am able to walk and that I'm able to run. And I think the whole health diagnosis really put it into perspective that we take these things for granted. I knew that I had to change the way I saw this diagnosis. Like, I still don't know what the outcome is going to be. I still don't know what my results of my most recent tests are going to be. I don't know what this means for me and my future of running, for example. At least I have made the most of this vehicle that is my body. And I have spent so many years not loving and not honouring my body. I have had such a terrible relationship with my body over the years. I have punished my body in so many ways. I've had eating disorders. I've got extreme body dysmorphia. I have been obsessed with the scales. I used to wake up every morning and get on the scales. I've been so mean and horrible and neglectful to my body that the reality is that all these toxic behaviours just amount and they build up and they manifest themselves in so many ways. Even with the trauma that is accumulated and built up over the years, be it childhood trauma, be it trauma from past relationships, all of that has an impact on our body. Mine has obviously shown up in this way, and you know what, it's scary. It's scary because all the things that I felt like I can control, like the way I talk to myself, the way I view my body, the way I move my body, now is out of my control because I've not honoured myself enough to look after myself in all these years. The other thing I wanted to say is about obviously comfort zones and stepping outside of them. Now I know it's super cliche. We see all these quotes posted over Instagram that, you know, great things come from outside your comfort zone. Don't get me wrong, I love a good cringy quote, but seriously, the feeling that you feel from doing something you never imagined you were able to is just irreplaceable. Beautiful things happen outside of your comfort zone. It is such a transformative place to be, and it's part of the journey of becoming authentically yourself. I'll try anything for a quick fix, but realistically, I know deep down, and you know deep down, that nothing sustainable comes from a quick fix. There's a few things that I would really love you to take away. One is about honouring our bodies and really kind of trying to change the way we view them and the way we talk to ourselves and being more compassionate, because that is something that once we lack that compassion, it can just go downhill. Also, I want you to know that trauma really does have an impact on our physical beings. So be kind to yourself, you know, allow yourself to process the things that are going on for you, allow yourself to heal, allow yourself to, you know, to even explore the things that would make you feel better. And I'm not telling everybody out there to go and run, but I am saying that there are things we can do that can bring you that joy, that can bring you that peace, and that can really give you a new lust for life. It's given me the courage to do things that I didn't think were possible. I've had so many great aha moments when running, because that space, that time that I have when I'm running is when my mind is really at its freest. And that's when the idea of the podcast came to me. You don't have to be the best at something. You just have to try. It's never going to be comfortable when it comes to change. Like, growth is never easy. If you can believe in yourself, really, you just need to be consistent and committed to achieving what it is you want to achieve, and you will get there. Detach from what other people think or what they say or their judgment. Most of the time when people judge, it's because there's an element of jealousy, because they're not doing it for themselves, or, you know, there's some resistance for them. Be authentic, be unapologetic, and fuck what anyone thinks, because realistically, this is your life. So you've got to do you. Remind yourself why you're doing it. There will never be a right time to start. You could be telling yourself, oh, I'm going to start like next week. Start right now. Get on with it. Like, what are you waiting for? We have no time to delay. You have one life. It's only the fear of failure that is stopping you from putting yourself out there. And this idea of trying to be perfect. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to try. Like I said in my intro, perfectionism stops us from being our most authentic selves and putting our most authentic selves out there. You don't know what magic could happen from this change, this shift. And I really want you to lean into that. I want you to know, if I can do it with a fucking brain slip, fluid on my spine, going out in my back belt, my knee supports, my dodgy ankles, you can do it. You have to just put one foot in front of the other. Never in a million years did I think I'd be sat here filming a podcast for YouTube, which I vowed I would never come back to, and having just run 10 kilometers and run a 5K race. Never in a million years did I think I could do it. If I can do it, you can fucking do it. And it doesn't have to be running, it can be anything. I have been through so much trauma and so much shit over the years that really now I feel like all this internal work I've been doing is really beginning to kind of manifest itself, you know, into greatness. I hope to share that greatness as inspiration for you to help yourself on your journey. Just focus on putting one foot in front of the other. Trust me, if Zara can do it, so can you. I want to finish this episode by saying thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have taken away something from this, and I hope that if you start something new, you start it with purpose, commitment, and consistency, and that you can make shift happen like I am trying to. I'm not coming at you like some expert. I just want you to know this is the way that has worked for me. So I really hope that you have enjoyed today's episode, and Thank you for letting me be vulnerable with you and talk about my health, which is, like I said, still ongoing. Now, when you watch my running stories on Instagram, if you do, you'll understand why this journey is so important to me. I'm super grateful that I stuck with the discomfort because, as cliche as it is, great things happen outside your comfort zone. And on that note, I will speak to you next week, sending you lots of love, joy, and abundance.